Since we've received this grant from the National Park Service, we have a tremendous and unusual opportunity here in the county to design a system, a network of walking trails and equestrian trails and bike riding trails throughout the whole county. And to my knowledge, this hasn't been done in any other county in Texas. We have to start at ground zero, and we will have planning help. The grant involves getting planning help from experienced National Park Service people, and also they might help us find funding, help us go through the steps as to how we go about realizing our plan, and can offer expertise and experience along the way. We don't really have a set plan yet. We don't know what the public in Somervell County wants. I'm just at the ground level here. I applied for the grant and we got it, and I had made some preliminary discussions with the water district folks, the county folks, and the city folks regarding this, and kind of got a preliminary nod to go ahead and do it. So I applied for the grant and we got the grant. So now, as of January, it's up to us to take advantage of it. The expertise and the guidance will be given for a year, perhaps longer. And during this time, we need to, number one, make sure that all the public officials are on board with it. That's the first challenge that I have, is to try to make sure that the folks in the city and the folks in the county and the folks in the water district all are for the creation of these trails. I don't know anybody who's against walking trails. I have heard some rumblings against equestrian trails. Being a horse person myself, coming from Colorado, we had lots of trails up there through all the national parks and state parks and city parks and everything else. We had equestrian trails and walking trails throughout Colorado. So coming down here was kind of a rude awakening to me, because to be such a horsey state, Texas is woefully low in the number of public equestrian trails that it offers to people. I think that's really sad, and I wanted to do my little part to take some of that away. But I am hearing that there are people here who are against equestrian trails, and frankly don't think that there's much of a demand for them. Some of the road blocks are going to be people who don't want these trails on their land. They don't want eminent domain to kick in and take away part of their land for public access. They're going to resent that, and also there are liability issues with horse trails, equestrian trails, and riders that I don't know enough about. Liability issues, etc., for equestrian trails. If there's somebody out there who's an experienced trail rider and who's more knowledgeable about what's allowable for equestrian trails and liability issues, I sure do wish they would step forward and help us out with this, because I am not an expert when it comes to equestrian trails. We will have, again, some help and guidance from the National Park Service, some of these folks can help us get around some of these roadblocks, but I'm a non-combative type person. I don't want to approach this effort from an adversarial standpoint. I want to make sure that I can gather consensus and find a way to get this done where everybody is in a win-win situation, where we don't encroach on a landowner if they don't want us to, and where it doesn't cost taxpayer dollars, where we can get funds from grants that are available. My idea would be to have we've started with the Riverwalk. We have a Riverwalk now. We're going to get a bridge over Walnut Street to connect the downtown. We could add a walking trail across the dam and coming up Bernard Street back to the town square. That would be one loop for a walking trail. We could add a walking trail that goes up by the library and around the high school and on up 67. We could add one that goes on the other side of Big Rocks to up to the Wheeler Branch Reservoir, over by the soccer park and around the reservoir. There are many different places that we can go. We can, I don't know, one of the plans in the city's, what do they call it, comprehensive plan for parks, they had a diagram in there for possible trails, and one of the trails went all the way out towards Comanche Peak Nuclear Power Station. Now again, I don't want to approach this and make a bunch of people mad because we're talking about putting trails on their land. But, you know, these are all things that need to be worked out. I've been approached by at least one other person who's willing to give up land in an easement for walking and equestrian trails. And I think there are people like that out there. So I think if we approach this correctly and with the guidance of the National Park Service, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do believe we can make this one of the big attractions for Somervell County. The first step we need to take is to gather the public officials together without the public, the overall public being involved. I just need the help of the National Park Service to get all of the city and the county and the water district on one sheet of paper here to agree to form a committee. And I haven't spoken to the new judge about this yet, but hopefully it will be under the auspices of the county, and to form a committee with all the entities involved, so, and then have a public forum or two to find out what the public actually want. So those are the next steps, and after that we can start the planning process. It's going to take a long time and a lot of money, but again, the National Park Service can help us find funding, and I think it'll be real fun, but I can't do it alone. I need people out there to stand behind me and say, yes, this is what we want. What do we need to do to get it done? And talk to the public officials and tell them that you are all for this. And also, you equestrians out there, I need to know that you're out there and that you are behind me, that I'm not the only one that wants equestrian trails in this county. As with the Riverwalk, we need to form a committee, but it's probably not going to be under my power to form the committee. If it is run by the county, they'll want to pick who the people on the committee are, and maybe I'll have some say-so. I have a few people in mind I know who are concerned. I need people who will step out there and do some work and do some homework and help out with this. I cannot do it by myself. The Riverwalk was a huge effort, and it left me mentally and emotionally exhausted. Let's put it that way. I'm making this appeal to you folks to stand up, to come to the meetings, to let people know, to let the county and the water district and the city officials know that you'd like to have equestrian trails because you're a horse person and you have to do this, that, and the other to go out and find a place to ride. And I know that you're out there.